You know when you're using a ride-sharing app and you see that perfect little Google map right inside it? Or how a travel site can somehow pull flight info from dozens of different airlines all at once? Well, the secret behind all that digital magic is something called an API. In this explainer, we are going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important, but kind of invisible parts of the modern internet.
Yeah, really think about it for a second. Your favorite weather app doesn't actually own a satellite, right? And your food delivery app probably isn't running its own massive global payment system. They're all talking to other services to get the information they need to work. So how? How do all these completely different pieces of software communicate so seamlessly? That is exactly what we're about to break down.
To get our heads around this, we're not going to start with complicated code or servers. Nope, we're going to start with something we all know and love, a restaurant. Seriously, this simple analogy is the absolute best way to understand the core idea of how an API works.
So picture this. You're sitting at a table, you've got the menu in your hand, and you're ready to order. Now, to get that delicious meal from the kitchen to your table, we only need to pay attention to three key players in this whole operation.
First up, there's you, the customer. You know exactly what you want, you've looked over the menu, which is basically just a list of all the available options, and you're all set to make a very specific request.
Next, you've got the waiter. Now, the waiter is the crucial go-between, the messenger. You don't just get up and walk into the kitchen yourself to tell the chef what you want, right? Of course not. You give your order to the waiter, and they're the one who carries your request to the kitchen.
And finally, there's the kitchen. The kitchen is the source. It's the system that has all the ingredients, all the equipment, and all the know-how to actually prepare your meal. It gets the order from the waiter, does all the hard work, and gets the final product ready to go.
Okay, so we've got the customer, the waiter, and the kitchen. Simple enough. But what in the world does this have to do with technology? Well, as it turns out, everything. Let's connect the dots right now.
This brings us to the API. It stands for Application Programming Interface. But honestly, forget that technical-sounding name for a minute. Just focus on what it does. At its very heart, an API is just a messenger that lets two totally separate pieces of software talk to each other. A messenger. Sound familiar?
And here it is. This is the aha moment. In the world of technology, the customer is the app or website you're using. The kitchen is the server or the database where all the data is stored. And that waiter, the messenger running back and forth, that's the API. Just let that sink in. The waiter is exactly what an API does. Think about it. The waiter doesn't cook the food. They don't decide what's on the menu. Their one and only job is to take a clear, well-formed request, deliver it to the system that can actually fulfill it, and then bring the response right back to you. That's it. That is the core function of an API. So this whole communication flow is just a simple three-step dance. First, there's the request. Your app sends a request through the API. That's you placing your order. Then, the server does the processing. That's the kitchen cooking your food. And finally, you get a response back through the API. And just like that, your meal arrives at the table. All right, so now that we've got the theory down, let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Because this isn't some obscure, abstract concept. You are interacting with dozens, maybe even hundreds of APIs every single day, probably without even realizing it.
When you check the weather on your phone, that's your app using an API to ask a weather service, "Hey, what's the forecast for zip code 90210? When you buy something online, a payment API is securely connecting that store to your bank to handle the transaction. And that map in your ride-sharing app, that's the app using a Maps API to ask, "Show me this car's location in real time."
And this right here is why APIs are such a game changer for developers. Think about it. Why would a small startup spend millions of dollars and years of time trying to build their own global mapping system when they can just use an API to plug right into Google's amazing service? APIs let them use these incredibly powerful, pre-built features so they can focus on what makes their own app special.
So this is way more than just a convenience. It's fundamental to how the entire internet works today. APIs are like the invisible threads that weave all our different digital services together into one seamless experience. You could even say they're the engine that powers the modern web.
So let's just sum it all up. APIs are what let different apps talk to each other. This saves developers a mind-boggling amount of time and money. It enables all those seamless integrations we just expect from our apps nowadays, and it's why they are the secret sauce behind almost every application on your phone.
So look, if you take away just one single thing from this explainer, let it be this. An API is the waiter of the internet.
It's the messenger that takes your request from an app, goes to the server that has the information, and brings back exactly what you ask for. Nothing more, nothing less.
And there you have it. The secret behind our amazingly interconnected digital world. Turns out it's not so mysterious after all. It's really just a whole lot of very, very efficient waiters doing their job perfectly. So now that you're in on the secret, what's the next piece of tech magic you're curious about? Let us know what we should break down next.